pushing triple digits on the interstate, and this escape headed back to the city late. No matter how many instances, I still get amazed, thinking about the million different ways I get to give him praise. To penetrate the culture, use the gifts he gave, to disseminate the message like the ticket tape.
They created two things, and ultimately it led to a third thing. The first thing that they created was political correctness. Now, political correctness was successful at neutralizing or paralyzing approximately 85% of the right, because what political correctness meant was if you, as a conservative, as a Republican, had any type of a response to the narrative on the left, they would accuse you of being politically incorrect, and that meant that ultimately you would be called a homophobe, a xenophobe, and a racist. The right is afraid of those terms. They don't like to be called those terms. So 85% of the people on the right thought it would be in their best interest to not say anything, to not even respond to what the left was saying, in order to avoid being called a racist, a homophobe, or a xenophobe. Now, I said 85%. That leaves 15%. Now, for the 15% of individuals on the right that did not care about being called a homophobe, a xenophobe, or a racist, they constructed another thing in an attempt to neutralize that 15%. That thing that they constructed is council culture. So what the left sat down and decided was, okay, this political correctness, we can use that to neutralize 85%. Then there's the remaining 15%. We'll neutralize them with something called council culture. So that meant if you were a bold conservative, if you were a radical Republican, and you did not care about being labeled those things, and you continued on to respond to the left, to argue, to debate with the left, then they would counsel you.
Right.
Okay? And what that meant was they would go after you where you worked, they would go after you where you went to school, etc. And they would try to influence those environments so that they would get rid of you, fire you, expel you, harass you.
Right.
And that, for the most part, took care of the remaining 15%, because, you know, you've heard a lot of people say, I can't risk losing my job, or I can't risk getting an F. I've heard plenty of students say, I can't risk getting an F in such and such professor's class, so I just have to go along to get along. And so they were successful at neutralizing that remaining 15%, except for it probably left a remnant, what I call a remnant. And that remnant would be the 3 to 5% that didn't care about getting counseled, that didn't care about losing their jobs, that didn't care about getting kicked out of school, that didn't care about getting an F, and that didn't care about being called a homophobe, a xenophobe, or a racist. Now, for that remaining 3 to 5%, they had to come up with something in order to deal with them, in order to address them. And what they came up with is what we saw, what we all witnessed when Charlie Kirk was shot.
Yeah, they just take him out.
Yeah, they just take you out. And they attempted that with Trump because, you know, Trump, he was like Teflon. He, you know, the political correctness thing didn't work with him. Council culture didn't work with him. He's an independent billionaire. You're not counseling anybody, you know. So they went to the third option, which I'll call the nuclear option. They went to the third option. I told people that they were going to do that before they did it, and they took the proverbial, I even did a podcast where I call it the proverbial headshot. When the left cannot eliminate you, when they can't keep you from saying what you want to say, they had this thing called the proverbial headshot. We saw King get shot in the head.
Right.
We saw the Kennedys get shot in the head. You know, they will shoot you in the head and take you out.